Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're unpacking a story you probably think you already know inside out. It's a classic tale, right? Usually told to kids. But honestly, underneath that super simple surface, it's actually a deeply profound exploration of human integrity, survival, and just the absolute nature of truth. We're going to completely deconstruct the story of the honest woodcutter. Let's dive right in. We aren't just treating this like some basic bedtime story. No, we're actually going to look at it as a psychological case study on human ethics. By breaking down the specific choices our protagonist makes, we'll see exactly what this text is trying to teach us about the human condition.
And I really want to start us off by posing a pretty crucial question. What is the true price of honesty when you have lost absolutely everything? It's really easy to be honest when your life is comfortable, right? When your bills are paid, your stomach is full, and your future is pretty secure. Telling the truth is just the path of least resistance. But what happens when the universe just strips away your entire livelihood in an instant? What happens when a lie, just a really simple, victimless lie, could completely erase your poverty forever? That right there, that is the ultimate test of morals we're analyzing today.
Section 1. Ramu, a poor woodcutter.
So our protagonist here is Ramu, a woodcutter in a small village, and the text paints a super stark picture of his existence right from the very first sentence. Notice the profound contrast in this quote. He was very poor, but extremely honest. His poverty is absolute. But the thing is, so is his honesty. The text really wants us to understand from the jump that Ramu's integrity isn't just some passive character trait. It's an active daily choice. Every single day he wakes up in total poverty, and every single day he actively chooses not to lie, cheat, or steal his way out of it. To really grasp the gravity of this story, we've got to understand his economics. Ramu's livelihood, his daily bread, is entirely dependent on manual labor. He goes to the forest, he cuts wood, he sells it, and then he eats. That's the entire cycle of his survival. There's no safety net here, no savings account to fall back on. He doesn't own a business, he basically just owns a tool. His entire existence relies on his physical ability to swing an axe. Without that ability, or without that specific axe, he quite literally has nothing.
Section 2. The crisis, losing his livelihood. This brilliantly illustrates how unbelievably fragile his life actually is. We start out with his standard daily routine. He's doing exactly what he always does, working hard, cutting wood right by the edge of a river. And then, in a split second, disaster strikes. The axe just slips from his hands and falls straight into the deep water. Suddenly, boom, we are at stage 4, complete despair. I really want you to think about what this actually means for Ramu. This isn't just a minor inconvenience. For a modern worker, this would be the equivalent of, say, a freelance graphics designer having their only computer irreparably destroyed, with zero money in the bank to buy a new one. It's an absolute existential crisis. The text notes that Ramu becomes incredibly sad, and it makes sense, because that axe was his absolute only means of survival. He is now staring down starvation.
Section 3. The Goddess's Test. So as Ramu sits there in complete despair, a river goddess appears from the water. And instead of simply handing him back his tool and calling it a day, she puts him through an incredibly deliberate, high-stakes psychological test. Step 1, she dives into the river and emerges not with iron, but with a solid golden axe. She asks, "Is this your axe?" Think about the immense weight of this moment. Ramu is a starving man being handed a literal lottery ticket. All he has to do is say one single word, yes, and his poverty is cured forever. But he refuses. Then, step 2, she brings out a silver axe. Again, incredible wealth. Again, a totally unearned fortune. And again, Ramu refuses. Finally, step 3, she brings out his old, worn iron axe. Section 4. The choice, iron versus gold. Looking closely at the stark choices presented by the goddess, we really see two completely opposing sets of values here. On side A, we have the golden and silver axes. These possess an incredibly high material value. They represent luxury, ultimate security, and basically an instant escape from his grueling life. But to claim them, he has to embrace a lie. He has to completely sacrifice his integrity. Now on side B, we have the iron axe. It has practically zero material value. It represents a fast track right back to backbreaking labor, sweat, and endless poverty. But it represents the truth. It is his actual reality. Ramu is essentially being asked to choose between an incredibly comfortable lie and a deeply painful truth. And Ramu's actions here are super decisive. He refuses the gold, he refuses the silver. But notice his emotional reaction when the goddess finally reveals that basic iron axe. He doesn't just accept it with a heavy sigh of resignation, he joyfully claims it, literally saying, "Yes, this is my ex." He is genuinely thrilled to be reunited with his difficult reality simply because it's his. He's completely unwavering in his commitment to the truth, deliberately prioritizing a clean conscience over unimaginable material gain.
Section 5. The reward, the sweet fruit of honesty.
Which brings us to the ultimate consequence of Ramu's unwavering integrity. The goddess, who, of course, was testing him all along, is profoundly pleased by his absolute honesty. In a world where most people would have just eagerly snatched the gold, Ramu proved himself to be incredibly rare. So as a reward for passing this ultimate test, she doesn't just give him back his iron axe, she gives him the golden axe and the silver axe as well. So Ramu actually returns to his village having earned immense wealth, not through deception, but strictly through the purity of his character. Ultimately, the fruit of honesty is always sweet. His integrity was literally the very thing that saved him.
So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with one final thought. You know, it's so easy for us to just sit back and applaud Ramu's noble choice. But let's actually turn the mirror on ourselves for a second. If you were genuinely in Ramu's place, facing absolute financial ruin, staring down a golden opportunity that could secretly solve literally all your problems, and knowing no one but you and the universe would ever know the difference, would you have told the truth? It's a pretty profound question about who we really are when the chips are down. Thanks so much for joining me. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.